to execute their plans far too soon and far too fast. Okay.
Right.
To a point where they're doing it so fast, they don't have a choice, but it's also waking up so many more people because they're doing it in a way where it's being forced down people's throats. All right. So, yes. And here's the other thing, the Great Reset and Nasara Jasara, it's all going to look very similar to an extent as we go until it doesn't. All right. A lot of the ways that things are being built are being done so in a similar manner. But when you get to the point where it's time to decide, are you going to use it for tyranny or for freedom? That's when we're going to see, okay, well, it's pretty obvious now. You see, we're a very small percentage of the population that actually know where this is going. All right. There's a lot of people out there that still think that Klaus Schwab's Great Reset is happening. They don't realize that some of us that see a little bit deeper and a little bit further, we know that that's not the case. We know that that group of people did not find a way to win, and actually they never even had a chance. Right. So.
Well, good evening, folks. We got Colin O'Brien, who is a remote viewer. He's introduced me by my good friend Gila Jed. So welcome, Mr. O'Brien. But before we get started, folks, as usual, hit the pause button, go over to Rumble, subscribe as quickly as possible. Also, QFS1776.com, the holy grail of what's to come. We're going to burn down the entire system down to the ground. Down out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. T-shirts, you got to decorate yourself, okay? People need to know what is XRP, XLM, XDC, Jasara, Nasara, and then you just send them over to QFS1776.com, which is an incredible education on steroids. Unified TV, right down below. Unified TV is what I believe will eventually take over Netflix. We're going to bring in a whole new genre of, movie producers and storytellers and docudrama people, and we're going to tell the most amazing story, the story of how we envision the planet to be on Earth as it is in heaven. Okay, we're going to create, heaven right here on Earth, just like the prayer tells you. Gold and silver right down below. Don't forget the promo code Mel Carmine. Don't even waste your time looking for cheaper prices. They don't exist. We deliver the gold and silver directly to your door. Never been a complaint. We got a AAA rating on the Better Business Bureau. Telegram right down below. Okay, we got Patriots. We got 30,000 plus Patriots waiting in a couple of rooms for you, waiting to take you by the hand and show you the ropes on this quantum financial system. It's coming, folks, whether you like to believe it or not. It might take another year. It might take another 2 years. It might happen in 2025. It doesn't matter, okay? Stay in positive cash flow and get ready because it's going to come. Get yourself positioned. If you want to buy $10,000 worth of XRP or $10 million worth of XRP, I'm the guy you want to come see because I can get you as much as you want. Nothing less than 10,000. Send me an email to QFS1776@gmail saying I need a large amount of XRP in the subject line. People know this stuff is coming. And so if you don't know, how to charter these waters, you definitely want to go to the Telegram group and start talking to the Patriots, and you definitely want to go to QFS76.com and learn about this stuff. It's very elementary. We've taken the best videos, elementary, just put them in a chronological order. If you watch top to bottom, by the time you get done with video number 27, you understand what's coming. I don't care if you're 14 years old or a 75-year-old grandmother. Colin, welcome to the show, brother. I know that you have a few talking points you want to talk about. I'll be more than happy to join you in the conversation. I think he knows a thing or two about Jasara Nasara and the quantum financial system. If I was you, I would crack out the notebooks and take some notes, guys. Thank you. Welcome, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. I appreciate it. I've been watching your show since around the time I believe you started. It might have been slightly after when you started, but I decided I wanted to start doing my own. I figured it's time to take up a firing position on the enemy here and get a podcast going. Of course, I start getting that going. I'm just, like I said, getting into it. So, but in terms of the Nasara Jasara, the esoteric topics that people would, normies refer to conspiracy theories and whatnot. I'm pretty deep into secret space program stuff, remote viewing, extraterrestrial. But I do have pretty good footing on the quantum financial system and Nasara Jasara. And they're what my take on things right now on kind of where we're at. I align with your view that the lawsuit with XRP is a total kabuki theater lawsuit at this point. From what I understand, I think you may have mentioned something about October last year that it ended. I mean, that makes sense to me. I'm just kind of taking your word for it there, but I mean, think about it. If they have to drag something out so that it's ready by the time everything else is good to go and in place, and the people are woken up, the military finishes doing what they're doing, it would make sense to have, just draw it out, right? Have a make it look like theater. And that's exactly what they've done. And all along the way, they've been building on these blockchains, Stellar, Ripple, and there's some other ones like the Zinfin, IOTA, I think Algorand, the ISOs. And there's going to be some more, like Zinium is an ISO coin, which is XXA. You can get that on the Stellar blockchain. But there will be more ISOs that come out along the way, I believe. And then some of the current tokens that are there will become ISO messaging standard compliant in order to operate in the financial system. I don't think that the full system will be fully rolled out until about 2025. At least it certainly looks that way. Some of the first steps taken towards compliance with ISO 222 were just done. I think, what was that, 2 days ago? Was that maybe when the European Central Bank and the Bank of England went to ISO compliance? So we're getting there. It's in terms of having that process complete. It's going to take a little while still, but hey, you know what? That doesn't mean that we're not going to see, some of the first price, major price action changes in XRP and XLM and some of the others well before that. I think, this lawsuit is going to end. Obviously, it's being timed for a major crash to occur. We're already in a liquidity crisis, but when this crisis worsens, right now we're seeing the crypto industry being blown apart. And I call it crypto still because those are cryptocurrencies. The real digital assets are the XRPs and the XLMs, right?
Yep.
So like, FTX and, I mean, you can see Tether, it's going to implode. You can see that one coming from a mile away. That's going to be the big one. 80% of Bitcoin's trading volume is in Tether. So when that one goes down, you're going to see Bitcoin fall to, well under 10K. All that old school, old world stuff is going away. I mean, you can see it. They're working out all the corruption. They're taking out all these financial river tributaries that some of these, corrupt folks, that they were what they were using. I mean, and if you're going to take out a system in full, you have to nail down every dirty dollar that they had. And that's why it's taken so long to put a stamp on every dirty dollar out there. I mean, it takes some time. So that's kind of where I'm at with the new system. I mean, obviously we're watching a military operation take place, military occupancy in the country, actually the entire world, where Trump is the commander in chief. And that's just going to continue to culminate until we reach that major crash point. And then that's when our switch flips. And if you follow some of the riddlers, which I do, I'm not sure if you do, like your Mr. Pools, your Val Jester Locks, etc., you'll see a common theme amongst those guys is that it seems like we're going to have something happen overnight, or at least it may seem like it happens in the blink of an eye or the snap of fingers. So, and I think we're going to know, if you look at some of those riddles, which I follow closely, it looks like it's coming sometime soon. I've actually, so I'm going to get to the remote viewing part in a bit, but if I'm going just off of my intuition, I'm looking at, you know, early 2023 when we're going to see, lawsuits end, and, you're going to start seeing some decent price action. But we have to remember that the Biden administration, it's there for a reason. It's the system has to crash under this guy. They're not going to pull him until that happens. So we just have to be patient. Things are happening, and they're happening a lot quicker. That speech we saw the other night from DJT, that was a marker for the next phase of the operation, which we're now in now, at this time. And I know that all things are good. I have precognitive abilities, and about 2 years ago, I saw a scenario where the entire world was taken by complete surprise as to what really was going on, and that DJT 45 was going to come out and basically be the one to provide that surprise. So nothing to worry about. I feel like I trust my intuition and my precog skills along with my remote viewing skills now at this point well enough to be more than 100% certain in the outcome here. So, yeah.
Listen, the reality is I totally agree with you. It has to crash under this guy. And I think you just gave me the title to the video. It cannot crash under the guy that looks like he's got it going on. He's cool as a cucumber playing golf, 18 holes every day, whatever. And he doesn't have a worry in the world. At the end of the day, there's 50, 60 tokens, I think, will be left standing when it's all said and done. 26,000 tokens, one of them has the lawsuit. The lawsuit was settled October 1st, 2021. We proved that by going back in the back machine and actually, showing the actual documentation. Everybody right now is jockeying for position. They're jockeying for position, hence the reason why the heavy manipulation of the market. It may take a little while longer for this thing, but I tend to agree with you. When it's go time and those boys and girls upstairs are ready to go because they're not going down to the spa down in Castro territory, I do believe it's going to happen fast, but I don't think they're going to go from 37 cents to $37,000 from one day to the next. I think it's going to be done in increments because they can't make it look so suspicious. They can't say, oh my God, XRP just went from $37 to $37,000 in 24 hours. That looks like something is
Right.
wrong. So they got to do it in little boom increment, and then they just go boom. It probably take maybe a year, 18 months. I think that's a reasonable time frame for the people out there that don't want to, because look, I understand. Look, getting involved with this internet digital asset stuff is complicated, right? Gold and silver is not complicated. You can get yourself gold and silver, but you got to get yourself one of those, hardware thing, that you have to sit there and watch your shit. And, because if you got that stuff in your house and people know about it, you're a target. With digital assets, a little bit different because you could take your little keys and which we have the links down below. Don't leave your digital assets on any exchange right now. You're crazy if you do so.
Oh yeah.
So put it on your hardware wallet and don't even leave it home. Put it somewhere where nobody knows. Okay. And that's what you do with that. But look, at the end of the day, we're literally in the middle of the storm. This whole speech over at Mar-a-Lago was dissected by Derek Johnson. It was done very, very well. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that speech at all. Did you get a chance to look at that?
Yeah. Well, I saw the speech and I saw the dissection. He picked out 58 comms in there.
Right.
And
right,
I don't remember all of them. I picked out a number of comms on my own though. There were 19 flags behind him. So there were 17 chandeliers in the ceiling. Everything was gold, all those gold painted chairs. He used the military justice spear on some of the pikes on the flags.
Right.
And he used the eagle, which is used for only the legitimate president of the United States of America.
Right.
Those were, So, there were a lot of comms in there. He never actually said 2024 in the same sentence as I'm running to be, president of the United States. he also didn't say of America, which is the Republic. But if you look at the FEC filing, he did file to to run for the Republic. And I mean, I think the year is a trivial number at this point. For that speech, I have to say, and it took me a day to realize this. It wasn't for us. I think that speech was made for some of the normie MAGA crew that wasn't on board yet.
Liquid gold. The one thing
I
that he
hope
mentioned
not.
was liquid gold. Yeah, I hope not
Yes,
too.
yeah,
Liquid gold.
right.
I mean, he's basically telling the people, hey, we got untold amount of gold. He's not only referring to the liquid gold that, we should be energy independent. Absolutely. But where he's talking about actual physical gold, there's quintillions of tons around the world that needs to be not confiscated, but allocated, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the gold has been recovered, but most of it, or maybe some of it, still has to be repatriated. I've heard that I think Cheyenne Mountain is where the majority of ours is at.
Yeah.
And Cheyenne Mountain's been locked up like a drum since March of 2020. So,
Well,
obviously they're running some things from there.
yeah, there are triple redundancy doors that are like 20 feet thick with steel and all kinds of, titanium steel and things. They're triple doors. And there's, it's the size of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York underneath those mountains. It's huge.
Right.
Yeah, we could fit quite the amount of gold in there. Yeah. I understand that the gold is still being flown in today. I've been told this off the record by a few people that are Army, Navy, Marines, etc. There's so much gold, you cannot just fly 1,500 kilometers worth of gold that's 30 meters wide, 30 meters high, packed to the ceiling with brick, gold, and fly it in with just a couple of plane loads. No, the planes are still coming in. To me, that story makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a ton of gold. If you absolutely, that's a ton of gold, and it's going in a lot of different directions. And there was one of David Straight's seminars. He had mentioned that the amount of gold that was going to be, it was repatriated back here to the U.S., flown into Texas. This is just the gold that was going to be given back to us. I want to say we're talking in the hundreds of thousands of tons, and that was just what was going to be, given to the people. Because that's what DJT wants to do. 45 wants to give us our money back. There's been so much that's been taken from us over the years through interest and taxes and illegal laws, because people have to understand we're talking about two different constitutions here.
Yeah.
And for them to operate a de facto government under the color of law for as long as they did, which is about 150 years, that's a lot of money that has to be returned to people. Think about, like, anytime, even if you weren't a criminal, let's say you just got speeding tickets and you got, like the red light tickets or parking tickets, you're going to forget about how many of those, they all add up. And that's just a small little portion. I mean, you got to think about all the income tax that you paid, illegal taxes on goods, just all kinds of money. And then you got to add that in with your universal basic income, which that's for sure going to happen. And, these things are just part of Nasara Jasara. So,
yeah, I don't think we're way out of line, Colin, when we're talking a $100,000 XRP starting point when it's a go. I mean, when it's all, full throttle, all engines go, $100,000 XRP is not out of the cards. I mean, Jimmy Valley from Val Hill Capital is talking 50,000. He was talking 37,500 8 months ago. Now he's up to 50,000. He's coming closer to our end of the spectrum, which is, I think, 100,000 is a starting point. I will not literally fall off my chair if it's a lot more than that. I think $100,000 XRP going into this new world where you got, many countries in the billions of people that are unbanked, about to be banked, and then the UBI, and you start to calculate, and the numbers start to get staggering, And so when you start to do basic pluses and minus math and multiplications, you start to understand that, we're talking about moving out quite a bit of money. You're not going to do it with the old SWIFT system. That thing is going to be completely phased out as far as I'm concerned. Let's talk a little bit about your a secret space involvement, with your secret space program involvement. What
Yeah.
could you tell us about that? Are you in contact with James Rink at all?
Yeah, I am actually. I've been working with James for a little while now. I actually reached out to him because before I started remote viewing, I started having memories and dreams about very specific things, and they all seem to have something to do with taking part in futuristic military operations off planet, and also partaking in very specific missions, going through very specific training. Now I'm still trying to put a lot of these memories together. It does take a while. Anybody that's discovered that they are or were part of this program are going to find that you have to put these memories back into some kind of linear pattern, right? Like
Right.
like for right now, I'm at the point where I've got the memories, but going back and being able to put them in place, that's going to be the hard part. And there's going to be more memories to come. But
Mhm.
I was part of a 20 and back program. I don't remember how many times, but there is um, uh, a subset of the German secret base program, Nachtwaffen Regier, NWR, part of the Dark Fleet, which was a Nazi faction. And I was taken into this program as a child, and I did my 20 years, and then I was actually age regressed back to the age of what I believe to be 10, and I did all this service during this time period. Now, some of the more specific, some of the dreams that I had, I started realizing that a lot of the time I was taking part in missions going after very specific pieces of technology. Now, for instance, we're talking both offensive and defensive technology. And I learned that oftentimes some of these factions would create super soldiers and put them in programs that were specifically dedicated towards apprehending or confiscating technology from other factions or other programs. And I was actually part of Nachtwaffen Regier as a super soldier doing things like that, stealing technology, and that's how I actually learned about some of the tech that we have now that's actually locked up in black programs that's going to be released, like neural dampeners, as an example. A neural dampener is used to quell and actually halt brain activity, where you put this device on your head, and when during the time that it's on your head, it's almost like you can adjust it to its effect, but you can make somebody essentially or effectively brain dead. But when you remove this device, that you return to your normal brain activity. That's just one example. Other examples are specific exotic weapons using crystal technology, using like quartz crystal technology. There's a lot that people are going to learn about what quartz crystal is used for. They use quartz crystal in microchips. You can actually save data on quartz crystal. You can use crystals to enhance energy, like amplify it, and you can use it to redirect energy. So I actually was able to train myself to use crystals in my remote viewing to enhance my output and make my views more accurate. Now, what I want to explain about remote viewing, a lot of people have the wrong idea about it. Anybody that practices remote viewing legitimately will tell you that it's a science. You're not going to be able to just go into your mind and slip through a portal necessarily to find the answer to anything. That's not how it works. It's a very trial and error driven program, or science, where there's a lot of there's a lot of trial and error in general, right? So you're gonna come up empty. You're gonna come up with you know um, some results that you may not have any idea what they're connected to. But when you train in remote viewing, you train through like blind targeting, where to make it genuine, the individual that wants you to find something through remote viewing isn't necessarily going to tell you what you're looking for. Okay. Oftentimes they're going to tell you to go to a specific place in your mind, tell me what you see, okay? And then as you go to that place and you get results, you write down your results. And if what this person was looking for comes up on that list a certain number of times, that's going to determine how accurate your views are. Now, to back up a little bit further, what is remote viewing? Okay, like what exactly is going on? Okay, there's something in physics, or just the essence of reality, known as the multiverse theory. Okay, the multiverse theory has to do with all the different dimensions or planes of existence that are in existence. We're talking about the sum total of them. Okay, so there is a similar dimension that exists where, Mel, the only difference is the color of your t-shirt. Okay, there's also a variation, or a plane of existence where the only two differences are the color of your t-shirt and the color of my sweatshirt. All right, this goes on to infinity. You're going to have all the different variations of matter that make up the sum total of these of the multiverse. So with remote viewing, you're entering different timelines and different dimensions, and you're seeking out answers to questions and solving problems that are based not only during the current time frame. You might be looking for answers to something in the past or something in the future. A lot of times people use remote viewing to find probable timelines or probable outcomes of future events. In fact, we just ended a timeline war, a temporal war that was going on, and it was a battle for our planet, right? Our solar system. And it happened as part of a temporal war. And there was a lot of time travel in this temporal war, hence the name temporal. And the only reason it existed is because these negative ETs, or non-terrestrials, were creating new timelines separate of the main timeline in order to hide their nefarious activities. So that was what remote viewing. There's a movie out on, I think it's Netflix. It's called Third Eye Spies. You could watch about CIA remote viewing. So you're going to find a lot of these programs in intelligence agencies. And yeah, I mean, I got involved, more so doing remote views for James Rink. I'm doing a show with him coming up on the 5th of December with a guy named Nav War, and we're going to be it's a show on Tartaria. I actually did some remote viewing that gave some results about the nature of our world from the year of 1000, or what was it, 1200 to about 1700. And I was able to find that there was far more extraterrestrial activity here during that time frame, and a push-pull sort of relationship between the earthbound folks and the non-terrestrials at that time, right, is just like a war for stature and for settling and for prominence and for rulership over the earth. And that was able to be confirmed actually by this fella Navwar, that I'm not sure if he's active, but he's definitely got some inside information based upon some of his actions and his partaking in operations within the current war that we're fighting against the cabal. And he was able to verify and corroborate my story. It's also been corroborated with some others, but we're going to be doing a show on the 5th to go over some of that stuff. So yeah, and the only reason I mentioned that is because James Rink, I know you've had him on. I think you did a couple shows with him, and yeah, some of what he had mentioned about what my remote viewing results had yielded about what's coming up in our future, right? Like what's showing up in the Stellar blockchain, what's happening with Ripple XRP, like the quantum financial system. As long as it takes, as hard as it can be sometimes to garner results about what's to come. It can take it can take some time to get it done, but you know, I've been able to see only one timeline from here on out, and it's all positive. You know, there's nothing there's nothing that leads me to believe that we're headed for any type of doom and gloom scenario. I think, you know, the war is won. That's what I've seen. You know, and the theater is very real. So I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Now, remote viewing, can anyone be trained? Like, for example, if I wanted to become a remote viewer, can I be trained to become a
Yeah.
remote viewer? Or it's just some people could do it, some people can't?
Yeah, well, there's some there. You're going to find people that are able to do it naturally. Um, Now we have to remember that the cabal shut off a lot of our natural abilities just through, you know, their dumbing down of society. You know, with some of the chemicals that they've put into, you know, like our water, like fluoride is an example. Fluoride is calcifying to the pineal gland. All right. Now, your use of the pineal gland, a remote view, is pretty key. You have to use it. So, yeah, there's people that can naturally do it, and you know, there's folks that can be trained to do it for sure. You know, you have to really have this third eye open. So,
Totally.
I think a lot of people that are in our community are going to find that they can probably remote view it, because you know, if you're on our line of thinking in our world, your third eye is likely open. So
Yeah. Now, did you hear anything regarding Twitter? Obviously, you know, they just reinstated Project Veritas. They reinstated POTUS. I'm sure they're probably going to reinstate Alex Jones here shortly. Maybe not the next one, but maybe in the next 2 or 3 ones. I think that's a possibility. What do you think about them moving towards a payment system? Is that ultimately Elon Musk's motivation, is to move towards turning it sort of like WeChat and utilizing the one XRP, XLM, etc.?
well, yeah, it seems that's what he made it sound like. You know, when he was explaining his plans for X, the Everything app.
Right.
I think he's going to use. I think he's going to use XLM. There's already a lot of Elon assets being built into the Stellar blockchain already that I feel like they're going to utilize. You know, if you go into like Lobster or Scopuli as an example, you can actually locate some of these assets. The domain, I think it's like exlm.org, but
Right.
there's a bunch of them in there now. I think they're going to actually use those assets.
Got you. Got you. And regarding the quartz crystals, a lot of people don't realize they're being used right now on your cell phones. The
Yeah.
most of your memory that's being stored on your cell phone is on quartz crystals. So when people laugh at the potential healing ability of these crystals, you're foolish to think that. And it does have a lot to do with amplifying energy, et cetera. You're absolutely right about that. And it will be used in a lot of the technology of tomorrow into amplifying healing technology that's coming. Some of it's already here, as you know,
Yeah.
with Dr. Sandra Rose, Dr. Sandra Michael Rose. The new world, you've been able to remote view. Can you explain to us, are you able to travel into the future, say, you know, 2046 or 2056, whatever, and can you see that world right here, right now, based on what your time travel? I don't know, are you time traveling when you're going forward, or are you only able to go backwards?
No, you can go either direction. You know, I have looked forward through remote viewing, and you know, like the world that we're going to see is totally different. You know, it's going to actually look a lot more like Tartaria did. You know, like you can actually, if you look at some of the like cathedrals, the major cathedrals, like the Notre Dame Cathedral is an example.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of the buildings in Tartaria look just like that, big or small. Just their energy, the way that they process energy and amplify it and actually store it, it's done uniquely. You know, like you know how the Cabal built all these cities on ley lines and nexus points in our on our planet for, you know, maximum energy output. Well,
Mhm.
there's a reason why, like Chicago and, you know, some of these bigger cities, they have so much crime downtown. They're trying to amplify a negative vibration by having, an urban setting where they economically or socioeconomically create so much poverty in these areas where that there's so much negativity and negative energy coming from these areas. Well, similar to, like, some of these cathedrals or these buildings that were built also on ley lines, but during more positive times for service to others rather than service to self. There's going to be a lot of technology, free energy, a lot of piloting for energies, which, it's like a Tesla tower, if you will, but more so in crystal form. A lot of people may not know this, but the wall in Mexico is actually it's a harmonic amplifier, resonance amplifier.
Energy field, from
And
what I understand. I've heard this
yeah,
before.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, let me ask you about, where do you stand on central bank digital currency? Is the cabal, obviously, the struggle is they're trying to figure out, how do we, still or stay in control? How do we enslave everybody? How do we program their money so that we can, it's like, if you don't agree with the system, you're going to be able to go to a department store and the door will not even open for you, because they'll recognize who you are and that you're, a bad person according to their rules and regulations, because these people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and the doors won't even open so that you can go buy whatever it is you're trying to buy. Where do you stand on this? I personally, I'm completely at odds with central bank digital currencies. I'm completely at odds with the Chinese communist system of the central bank digital currency. I don't think it's going to see the light of day. Where are you with that? And have you seen anything in your remote viewing?
Okay, so what I've seen specifically to this point is that CBDCs will be used, but in a positive way, right? So, like, the way that we're seeing them being advertised is that they want to use it to limit X and limit Y, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like you said, like, not be able to even get in the door. So a lot of that are scare tactics that are being used to wake people up. We have to remember, right? Agenda 2030 was brought out too early.
Yeah,
DJT 45 and the Alliance forced the cabal to execute their plans far too soon and far too fast. Okay.
right.
To a point where they're doing it so fast, they don't have a choice, but it's also waking up so many more people because they're doing it in a way where it's being forced down people's throats. All right. So, yes. And here's the other thing, the Great Reset and the Sarjasara, it's all going to look very similar to an extent as we go until it doesn't. All right. A
Mhm.
lot of the ways that things are being built are being done so in a similar manner. But when you get to the point where it's time to decide, are you going to use it for tyranny or for freedom? That's when we're going to see, okay, well, it's pretty obvious now. You see, we're a very small percentage of the population that actually know where this is going. All right. There's a lot of people out there that still think that Klaus Schwab's Great Reset is happening. They don't realize that some of us that see a little bit deeper and a little bit further, we know that that's not the case. We know that that group of people did not find a way to win, and actually, they never even had a chance. Right. So,
Right.
yeah, to answer your question, they're building. From what I've seen, they're building CBDCs into these blockchains in a way to where they'll be used for national currency, but not for tyranny and for freedom.
I think the central bank digital currency that represents each country's currency, whether it's the Japanese yen or the Chinese yuan or the Filipino peso, whatever, is what the central bank digital currency is going to be tied to. And the bridge to move it all will be the XRP. But I don't think the central bank of tomorrow is not going to be a central bank. It's going to be what do you call it? Financial service centers. You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah,
not here to suck blood off of you like the rules that applied in the old world as we graduate into this Nasara Jasara world are not going to apply. That's what I think.
I agree. And to get back to what you were talking about, that with poly sign coming out, that's going to be a big deal. So, we have that to look forward to. I think PolySign is going to be used for the buyback.
I think PolySign is going to be custodial ship on steroids. I think the what do you call it? The financial service centers of tomorrow have to incorporate PolySign in order to exist. And I firmly believe that they are fully on board with the 17th letter of the alphabet and this whole Majestic 12 that work directly with Donald Trump. There's some very smart people that are running these quantum computers that are literally calculating every single move, and they're measuring 99,000 times and cutting only once, and they're not making any mistakes. And I believe some of these quantum computers exist where? At Mar-a-Lago. And I believe that there's Army people there right now that are high-ranking, very intellectual people when it comes to computing stuff, and they're there right alongside POTUS. Also, I think Spark. I think when they announce PolySign and Spark, and the Spark drops, I think those are two major breadcrumbs. That's the turning point, I think, where we make a sharp, left or a sharp right, and we are literally inches away from announcing Nassar Jassara, Trump coming back. The lawsuit will probably be announced there right after, or maybe be announced right before, and then maybe 2 or 3 days later, hey, by the way, we got PolySign. Hey, by the way, we're dropping the airdrop with Spark Flare. The guys that drew the penis and the Suez Canal, I think, are all involved with this whole thing. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think those two events that you were just, Spark Flare and PolySign, I feel like those two are just going to drop one day, and it's just going to be, around the same time as this big crash when they flip the switch. Those two, like PolySign and Spark, are already developed technologies. So, like, just we're going to have one day the entire world's going to go, start burning to the ground, and then they flip that switch. All of a sudden, everything's okay.
Right.
Then you have your $100,000 per XRP, or you know what I mean, with PolySign, Spark. It's all there, ready to go.
Yeah, these have been perfected technologies. They're just waiting for the dust to settle. They don't want to get their fingernails dirty. Okay, they want to come in this thing when the whole dust is settled, the lawsuit's gone, POTUS is back, and boom, all of a sudden, things are going to start to fall into place, like PolySign, and you're talking, the Spark Flare token, which is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Ethereum people, Ethereum and Bitcoin, in my opinion, goes away. Where are your thoughts on XDC, and how does Stellar and XDC play a role in this ISO game?
XDC specifically, like R3 Corda is using XDC as their back-end settlement token. They're also going to use XRP, but they mainly use XDC. It's it's another one of the ISOs. It's gonna have a specific asset backing to it. Like XDC in particular will be backed by copper, and like you've got gold and silver for XRP, XLM, and Algorand will be palladium, and IOTA will be iridium, which iridium will be used in a lot of the MedBed technology.
You think that a lot of these metals, because some of them are going to be used to back up the whatever paper currency we have? Absolutely. Is there going to be a rainbow currency? I don't know. Like I always say, if you work at a bank and you accidentally stumble upon a room then it's got a couple of pallets of this stuff, would you kindly take a video of it, put it on Telegram anonymously, say, here it is? Okay, because anybody with any talent as far as being able to be like, who's a graphic designer, for example, if I was a graphic designer, I could go on the internet right now on my computer and design some, BS rainbow currency. No one has seen the rainbow currency. So again, if you work at a bank, could you verify this stuff? Come on our Telegram. Telegram's right down below, and let us know about this stuff. But I think a lot of the metals are going to be put on the blockchain as the inventory so that nobody can finagle the bagel. And it's going to be the other way around, where the XRP is going to back the gold, a certain amount of it, probably a large amount of it, because they need that XRP to be a certain amount of money. So based on how much gold it's backing, is going to be determine the number that they can legitimately say, hey, it's worth 100,000, it's worth 200,000, because it's the XRPL, the blockchain, the most sophisticated blockchain in the history of the world, that is going to hold the gold onto the blockchain, and no one could go onto the blockchain and steal the gold because the blockchain is foolproof.
Right, absolutely. You know, in a world with tokenized everything, moving all the money, institution to institution, I mean, I have a different number in mind for value. I think more like $1 million in our XRP. There's just literally that much wealth out there. You know, like
Yeah,
what
you're
was some
right.
crazy number about the you know, what was under Buckingham Palace alone. It was like 108 zeros behind the one. That's crazy. That's crazy
Right,
money.
right.
So, and that's just one place. So, and David Schwartz has said that a couple of times, that it would be $1 million.
3 times.
3 times. There you go.
Three
So
times.
I tend to believe David Schwartz when he says stuff like that, because, you know, he's a very left brain guy, brilliant programmer. He's also a riddler in a lot of ways. And I feel like he's always looked out for the XRP holder. You know, he warned us when XRP was about to hit the top, and then, you know, the lawsuit drops and then it goes down to whatever it did.
See, I don't
So,
sell. I just keep it. We just keep accumulating. My
yeah,
XRP is not for sale. My XDC, my XLM, it's not for sale. I buy and hold until they say, okay, Mel, you're allowed to have your day in the sun. Thank you. And then I'll just go sail off into the sunset. You know, I'll be doing these
yeah,
podcasts from my 195-meter yacht. You know,
that's right.
except I'll be flying you in on my flying saucer. It won't be a heliport. It'll be a flying saucer landing pad.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, you'll be able to construct whole fleets of those things.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that, you know, I tell you, Mel, one of the other things I saw there's a lot more going on in the solar system than people realize. Not only will that truth be exposed to people and revealed to people, but also we will be able to, as the new 1%, or, you know, the new top percent to the 1%, we'll be able to have a ton of infrastructure all throughout the system, and you know, be able to partake in galactic commerce that way.
Well,
Because you know, there's
coming.
already a ton of that happening. So
Yeah, it's coming. You know, all these people. You know, it's like I'm so tired. I watch. I like cars. I got a pretty elaborate dune buggy that I built. I've spent over 50 grand into it. You know, and I got a crazy stereo system in it, and it's an amazing machine, and it gets a lot of head turning. But that's not why I built it, because I love the freedom of just having my you know, the music blaring and I'm driving, and you know, if it causes attention, that's fine. But the reality is, we're still scraping the earth on these vehicles that run on rubber tires, because somebody's controlling. It's like you watch all these like supercar videos on YouTube, right? Everything is a spin-off of the Lamborghini and the Ferrari. It's like they've run out of ideas. It's getting to the point where it's boring. It's like, you know, I don't. Yeah, well, I'm more of a vintage car kind of guy. You know, if I do get another, you know, sports car or build one, it's probably there's one company that sells, not to get off track here, I know we just went off the deep end with cars, but I like the Cobra Shelby 1965.
yeah.
There's one company out there, that makes it out of aluminum, like the original. Okay, but I want mine to be like you know, 5-speed, 6-speed automatic.
Have you ever seen Ford versus Ferrari?
What's that? Oh yeah,
yeah.
The Ford GT.
Carroll Shelby, yeah. Well, yeah. It featured Carroll Shelby. So.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
Great movie.
that's a beautiful car. I like vintage cars, but I do like some of the new stuff too. I like the Ford GT, the one that's sort of like the Ferrari. That's a really nice car. And I might have some of those in my collection. And maybe one day they'll say, Mel, you're not allowed to even start one of these things anymore, because if you do, you'll go to jail. You know, you can only take them and go put them in a museum. And then the future generations of tomorrow will come and visit our cars, say, that's what Mel used to drive. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, That's the world we're moving into. I think we're moving into flying cars. I think that's a given. I
Yes,
think maybe 8, 10
100%.
years, maybe at the most 8 to 10 years, could happen sooner.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, a lot of the initial technologies that'll come out will be more medical based, medical and energy. But actually, there are some companies out there right now that are focused on building some of those flying vehicles. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to take long. Like they've even started like with I mentioned earlier the wall. What that
Right.
is. A lot of people don't realize, and that's already mostly been constructed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We got a very exciting future coming, and I'll be honest, it's not that far off. People just have to be patient at this point and realize that, we're doing this for the kids, right? Originally, that was the idea. I mean, there's
Right.
more reasons to do it. So when the military says they're done finding all those little ones, then
Yeah.
we can move on. But until then, I'm not in any rush. I'd like to
Well,
get it done the right way. So
absolutely. Well, that's the reason I always say, and I've said this in many of my videos, you probably heard it, me saying, I'll say it again. The reason why they don't want Mr. T back is free energy technology is coming.
yeah,
Okay. That means you won't have an electric bill anymore. You can have the lights on blaring day and night, and you're going to have to go out and buy those non-New World Order lights because even the lights are designed to mess with your vision. Okay. These guys have everything that surrounds you is designed to kill you slowly, but kill you. And they have used every method possible. Life extension, medical, technology on steroids is coming. Life extension technology is coming. People will live to be 1,000 years old, will be common occurrence. Flying cars are coming. Flying machines that will take you from Miami to Malaysia in about 2.3 minutes are coming. This is what's coming. And they don't want. So the medical industry goes out of business. The oil industry goes out of business. The energy companies that are providing electricity to you go out of business. The internet companies eventually go out of business because we've already paid for the infrastructure 500,000 times over. How much money do these people need to make? We own it. It's ours.
right.
We're taking
Yeah,
it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I
That's
even
why you
believe
need a
that.
UBI.
Yeah. And that's why I think companies like, what do you call it? Starlink will eventually say, hey, guys, it's free.
It is.
Everybody
Yeah,
has internet. So it
yeah.
doesn't matter whether you're
100%.
in the middle of the Mojave Desert and you got your cell phone that's hooked up to your solar panel charging station, whatever, you'll be able to connect at 1,000 megs up, 1,000 megs down, even in the middle of the desert or in the middle of the ocean, anywhere in the world, you have unlimited internet. And that's the way it should be. And we're graduating
right.
from the old internet, this old internet stuff, .com stuff. It's all going to go away. We're going to go right to the satellite system. That's what's coming. And it's coming here in Costa Rica, by the way, in January. I got to get signed up for it because I want to get off of this Taco Bell system. So yeah, absolutely. So, what else is going on? I mean, do you see Stellar playing a major role, or do you think Stellar can reach prices of $100,000 each? Or do you think Stellar is going to be basically more for, I don't know, maybe for the masses, but not for the corporations and what have you, and the banking system?
Well, I do see the price of XLM at some point being equal to the price of XRP.
Wow.
It may even exceed. I do, and I'll tell you why. Silver. If XLM is going to be backed by silver, which is a much more scarce mineral, then the nature of what it is dictates that it's going to be worth more. Now,
Right.
there's good reason to believe why it may not be, because if it's a peer-to-peer asset that isn't institutional in its nature, that's like XRP, I don't see it being that valuable right away. I think it'll take some time, but the more I look at this specific question, the more I see parity. I do. In the beginning, though, I don't see parity. I see an XRP buyback of around I think it'll be probably around $500,000 in XRP. Um, and I see XLM gradually making its way to that amount.
Well, you know
So,
what? If the
but yeah,
XRP maximum price is going to be $1 million and the institution needs it, if they gave us $500,000, for example, this is hypothetically speaking, guys. I know you guys are going, oh my
yeah,
God, Mel thinks there's gonna be $500,000. Some people think it's gonna be a lot more than that by a lot. Okay, but let's just
yeah,
say that the XRP number, that the people upstairs, the people that are going to run the world, the people that are going to be have to have no choice but to move mountains, financially speaking, need XRP to be $1 million, and they gave us $500,000. I think that would be fair, right?
yeah,
But if it's going to be
right.
worth $1 million and they want to give us $50,000, well, then you're smacking me in the face.
Yeah, that would
You're
be a cabal
insulting me.
tactic.
You know, you're insulting
Yeah.
me. So I'm not for sale at 50,000. I might sell, maybe 50 XRP at 50,000. Say, okay, now I just bought myself a lot of time. How much time do you guys have? You know what I mean? Checkmate,
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. I do think though that this is a mandatory buyback. I don't think we're supposed to have our hands on this asset.
Oh,
I don't think
listen,
there's.
we could go back in time, if we can go back in time and the bankers really understood what this is, you and I would not be owning XRP, XLM, XDC, none of it.
Right,
They
right.
would own
Well, if
all
the
of it.
bad guys were in charge, we wouldn't have ever had the opportunity. But
No,
because the white hats, the good guys are in charge, it did make its way onto exchanges. Because that's how white hats are. They want you to have the opportunity, but when it comes time for them to need those individual XRP tokens, all of them, to do what they need to do, well, you're going to have to sell it back to them. So, but I think a lot of people don't realize the potential for the price of XRP. It's because a lot of people are still living in their programming, the old
bingo.
world programming.
They don't
We have to
understand the new
start
world.
breaking free of that.
They don't get the new
Right.
world that's coming. They don't even see it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
This by
Yeah.
us buying the XRP and buying the XLM and buying the XDCs and all the ISOs, we averted World War III.
I agree with that statement. I do.
Believe me when I tell you, we averted World
Yep.
War III, because right now, let me tell you, there'd be missiles flying. There'd be all kinds of stuff happening. So electric cars, I think, are a joke. Okay.
I
There was
agree.
a video that landed in one of my Telegram groups. Okay. And there's a fleet of electric buses in China. They all of a sudden, they're all in flames. They're all on fire.
Yeah, they're a huge hazard, man. The way
Yeah.
the way that the current technology they use to store electric the battery energy,
Mhm.
it's very dangerous, very dangerous. And
Yes.
also our current electric grid wouldn't be able to handle a fleet of all electric vehicles. But there's going to be a phase where there are way more electric vehicles while they phase the uh, the combustion engine out, which should have been done 100 years ago. But they're going to move to free energy, and the way that the technology that we're going to be using to store that energy and maintain it is going to be safe. And it's just going to be a much better situation. It's not going to be this Green New Deal with
No.
hazardous builds on materials and automobiles. It's just
Yeah.
going to
First of all, just the actual production of these batteries is creating 100 times more carbon footprint
yeah.
into the atmosphere than combustion engine. That's a fact. Look it up. Okay. Don't take my word for it.
Yeah.
Go do your own digging. Okay.
The
So
way
it's
they
gonna
mine that
go away.
stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, brother, is there anything else we need to cover? I think this was a great podcast. I'm going to hold you over for a couple of minutes. We're going to say goodbye to the audience, but folks, don't forget to follow us at QFS1776.com, Unified TV, the gold, the silver. If you need millions of dollars worth of XRP, contact me, etc. It's all there right down below. And we'll send you, we'll also have his link down on below so that you can find his channel.
Please, if you would, go ahead and subscribe. I think maybe by the time this gets posted on your channel anyway, I'll be close to the end of my jail sentence. So
Perfect.
yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Mel.
All right.